disgusting.
That's why I asked.
Who's driving? It's over 9. What?
Crap car.
Addition.
Use the boots to get it. No.
Huh? What the f?
Hello again, everyone. This is Bionic Slime. I am your online voice for reviews of your choice, and welcome to BS Reviews. Today, we take a look at the latest film from Walt Disney Studios, which is actually a live-action, actor-studded adaptation of one of their most famous animated shorts from their epic animated film Fantasia, entitled The Sorcerer's Apprentice. Yes, it's a live-action movie based on the Mickey cartoon with the big blue hat and the dancing brooms. Sorcerer's Apprentice is brought to you by Walt Disney Studios. It was directed by John Turteltaub, who also directed the National Treasure films. It was written by Lawrence Connor and Mark Rosenthal. It stars Nicolas Cage as Balthazar Blake, Jay Baruchel as Dave Stutler, Alfred Molina as Maxim Horvath, Teresa Palmer as Becky Barnes, and Monica Bellucci as Veronica. The plot of The Sorcerer's Apprentice. Balthazar is a legendary wizard who, along with his arch-rival Maxim Horvath, both seek a mystical item known as the Grimhold, a magical device that holds many evil spirits, most notably the greatest witch of all time, Morgan Le Fay, who has been sealed up in the Grimhold for many, many years. Now, Horvath is planning to release Morgan Le Fay in modern-day New York in order to cause destruction throughout the world by raising the dead and conquering the planet. Balthazar must prepare Dave, an unlucky teen from a physics class who discovers the sorcerer one day when he's a kid, and he decrees to him that he will become his apprentice and learn the ways of magic in order to battle the forces of evil, defeat Horvath, and save the world from Morgan Le Fay. Review of the plot. Now, obviously, this is very similar to the kind of vein of the Pirates of the Caribbean films and the Haunted Mansion film with Eddie Murphy, in that Disney is trying to capitalize on part of its past products, but this time it's a little different. I mean, you're taking a cartoon and building a whole story around it, and it has almost pretty much nothing to do with the Disney short, even though it's based heavily around the concept of it. Even though it is a live adaptation with a lot of, crazy changes and expanding story ideas, I still love the huge nod they gave to the animated short in this film. With the music and the dancing brooms and all, it was a fantastic scene. But on top of that, it was a fantastic story overall. I mean, I gotta tell you, I did not think they could pull this much creativity and imagination out of just a cartoon short. But then again, I did not think that was possible with the Pirates of the Caribbean ride being turned into such an epic universe, into these awesome trilogy of films. So it's amazing to see what a little imagination can do with just a good standing point, a good starter base. And this cartoon, I never would have thought possible, but turned out to be a great standing base for this incredible movie. I mean, the imagination in this film is immeasurable. There's so much crazy shit going on. A lot of creativity and wizardry and legends involving famous fictional characters. Like, you got Merlin, you got Morgan Le Fay, you got all these old spells and all these warring wizards from years and magical items, and it was so creative, and I was like, I did not think you could put this much into it. I mean, it's basically, in a sense, a typical movie, in the sense that it's about a geeky guy, becoming a superhero and trying to get the girl while still fighting the forces of evil. So similar to Spider-Man. But what I like about this film is that it made magic seem so much less complicated, and it's just actually using it. I mean, the one thing this movie does great is that it uses magic in such an imaginative level that you can't get enough of it. Unlike the Harry Potter films, which is ironic because they're surrounded by magic and they barely use any friggin' spells in the entire Harry Potter series. I mean, they barely use magic that much when you think about it and you look at the films, in retrospect. But in terms of here, it was used so much, it was like watching a freaking Dragon Ball Z movie. I mean, the energy blast is like, I mean, this is like how Dragon Ball Evolution should have been. This is actually closer to Dragon Ball Z fighting than even Dragon Ball Evolution was. And that was supposed to be based on the actual material. But here, it was really inventive with the magic and the storyline that spanned over hundreds of thousands of years with Merlin, Morgan Le Fay. There was just a lot going on in this film. In the beginning, it did feel like it rushed it a bit, but overall, once you see the middle and the rest of the film, I think it more than balances it all out. And it really helps that you had such creative writing with these characters, particularly their names: Balthazar Blake, Maxim Horvath. Very cool comic book sounding character names, which I always love characters that have memorable names like that. I think it just helps you settle into the universe so much better and see them more as these amazing little characters. Again, like a Spider-Man comic book superhero story brought to life. And it's amazing because it's all based on this one little cartoon short with Mickey Mouse. So I really give them credit for creating such a vivid storyline from this little short. Review the characters. Now, people have many different views on Nicolas Cage. I know 90% of people hate him or think he's a no-talent hack who's just too weird for words, and at times he is. I won't deny that he's had some stinker films before, and he's made some really bad choices in times, and there are other times I think he's had some very good choices. But here, I just love the way he looks, and I think he gives a nice, amusing edge to the wizard role. And I think he works better playing off of Jay Baruchel, who, again, is going to be probably forever cast as the awkward teen. He's like another Michael Cera. But let's be honest, if you know this much about him and you're seeing this movie anyway, then it probably doesn't bother you that much. He's good at what he does, so leave it at that. I mean, this does play out like a more magic version of She's Out of My League, but in a much more effective way in that it's got more action, more special effects, and visuals. And Jay Baruchel really plays that up well with Nicolas Cage. They have some great dialogue and repertoire with each other. They're very funny together. They're very cool together. Just like it's like a very good group that you could just see working together. And again, the outfits with Nicolas Cage just really fit his character so perfectly, as well as his acting. And Jay Baruchel has a funny quip for pretty much every single line you can think of. And what I love about Baruchel is that he can play a nerd that's so down and out of his luck and looking for the same hot girlfriend that we know geeks in real life cannot obtain. But here he makes it still fun and enjoyable. So for that, I give him credit. Alfred Molina was much better than I expected. He was not stale or old fuddy-duddy kind of wizard. He was a funny, quirky, badass wizard who looked professional, creepy, and still evil at the same time. He wasn't over the top, but he wasn't downplayed to the point where you couldn't even notice him. He was enjoyable here, and I really liked his presence. Teresa Palmer, again, like the beginning of the film, had some weak moments and had some trouble getting the whole thing starting up. But I think once she really settled into the role, she became a much more likable character, very attractive, very good with some of the shocking scenes when she finds out the wizardy truth behind Jay Baruchel, and just she served as a very enjoyable character overall. And Monica Bellucci was only here for a little bit, but she served the story purpose. And again, everyone here does a pretty good job, even if some are on for less time than others. Read the cinematography and the music. Cinematography was fantastic. It really captured the beauty of this world, and every magical scene was just highlighted by such amazing colors and such beautiful visuals. There were some particularly amazing scenes in this film that I think really took my breath away. One was this fantastic fight sequence down in Chinatown involving a paper, walking dragon and the crowds and all that, and that looked really amazing. Another was a really touching and visually gorgeous scene with Jay Baruchel and Teresa Palmer in this like electrical cage with lightning surging around these Tesla coils. It makes more sense if you see the movie. Music, awesome. Love the tunes here. I'm definitely going to be downloading some of these from iTunes and that because I really like the music in this film, and it worked out really nicely with the rest of the story and the film itself. Also about the film, in the beginning, it does feel like some of the story elements were kind of rushed, and it did seem like it took a while for certain characters and actors to settle into their roles. Jay Baruchel, Teresa Palmer, at first didn't really seem to get the knack of it. It took them a couple minutes of screen time and that to really hone it down right. And overall, one of the things that just really is the main problem with this film is that it kind of feels like in some areas the dialogue underperformed. Like, it could have been funnier. It had some funny lines, but it had the potential to be much funnier or more creative. And they definitely leave open for more stuff to happen, but it would have been nicer had they maybe gone the extra mile, make the written material just a bit more fresher and make it more consistent as opposed to just occasionally funny and quirky. Final wrap-up, Sorcerer Apprentice is kind of a tricky gamble based off a cartoon short. It does take a couple minutes or so for Jay Baruchel and Teresa Palmer to settle into their roles. There are times where the script could have been much funnier and much fresher and more consistent with its humor, but overall there's just a massive amount of great stuff in this film that I can't help but to say I had a kick-ass time with it. The magic fights and the special effects are phenomenal. I loved Jay Baruchel and Nicolas Cage working together. They're a great duo, funny lines together. Teresa Palmer was good. Alfred Molina, nice surprise with him. I love the fantastic fight sequences with the magic. It was well designed, well choreographed, well shot, and well scored. I have to give them so much credit for taking such a cartoon short, something that seems so minuscule and virtually impossible to turn into a film, but that they could do that and create an elaborate storyline and background with it. And if any of you guys do happen to see this film, I implore you to wait till after the credits. There's a scene at the end. I repeat, wait till after the credits. There is something at the end of the film. Bottom line, I give The Sorcerer's Apprentice 3 stars and a half out of 5. Well, that's all for now. This has been Bionic Slime for BS Reviews. Thank you all for listening, and goodbye for now.